Hi everyone, and welcome back to our In Conversation series with the Beauty Triangle to celebrate the launch of the Beauty Triangle Boutique. We will be sitting down with the founders of brands that are featuring on the boutique, and today I am very excited to be sat with the amazing Dr. Nichola Conlon. So I'm sure many of you will know Dr. Nichola is a molecular biologist, an absolute font of knowledge when it comes to cellular aging, as well as the founder of Nuchido, which is what we're going to be discussing today. Thank you so much, Nichola, for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's exciting to come and chat, and let's have a good conversation.
I'm so excited to pick your brains because I love this conversation. So could you start by just telling us a little bit about Nuchido and also what inspired you to create the brand?
Ooh, okay. So rolling back probably about 10 years now, I used to work in drug development. My role, I'm a scientist, that's my background, and my role in drug development was actually developing drugs that were designed to slow the aging process. Wow. Which sounds pretty crazy even now, but back then it was a crazy thing. But the idea being that age is our biggest risk factor for pretty much every disease that we suffer. And maybe if we can slow our rate of aging even just a little bit, then we can have a big impact on multiple age-related diseases and improve what we call our health span.
Yep.
So I worked in that world, developing drugs that were designed to do this. But what I realized is there were a lot of molecules that worked really well that were not drug molecules. They were natural molecules, things out of plants, things that were already known to be very safe, things that were suitable for supplements.
And those that are found also within our bodies, right? Are they within us already?
Some of them were, some of them were other molecules, but the key thing was that these were not typical drug molecules. And that meant it didn't matter how well they worked, basically they were never going to get the research that they deserved, even though they worked really well. So basically I left the world of drug development back in 2017. I founded Nuchido. The mission behind Nuchido is how do we take some of these active molecules that are not drugs but that could be useful to help people when it comes to aging and actually give them the research they deserve and turn them into, consumer products. So we are very focused on how do we translate this science into products that have good science that actually work.
That work, yeah. That's so interesting. So why NAD? Where did that come into the picture? Why did you choose NAD as the supplement for Nuchido?
Oh, so NAD was something I've studied for a long time now. It's something that has been known for many years, but is certainly having a bit of a buzz within the longevity space at the moment. Having said that, we've known about it for many years and known that it's very beneficial in the body for multiple different things. And the one reason it stands out in longevity is because it's very important for protecting our cellular health. So when it comes to aging, everything, although we think of aging on the outside, everything to do with aging really starts on the inside at the cellular level. And NAD is one of the only things that has been found to impact what we call the hallmarks of aging, which are the 12 things that effectively go wrong in our cells that drive aging at the cellular level.
So that's when it then shows on the outside. So if we're dealing with it on the inside, that's what's stopping us aging from the outside, so seeing the signs of aging as well.
Yeah, exactly that. So it was, for me, it was something that people didn't really know much about at the time. People didn't really know the benefits, but it was something that could profoundly improve cellular health. And if we fix the health of our cells on the inside, then we see the benefits on the outside. We feel the benefits in terms of our energy and things like that.
So where does NAD come from? Am I right in thinking that it's something that we already have within our bodies, it just depletes over time?
Exactly that. So NAD is naturally found in every single cell in our bodies. It's involved in hundreds of different reactions actually in the body, but the two things it's most famous for are our energy production and also for cellular repair.
Okay.
So NAD helps in a process that takes the food that you eat and converts it into the energy that we need to function. That takes place in our mitochondria, which are like tiny little energy powerhouses in our cells. But then also you've got this other role where it's driving repair. And in that role, what it does is it acts like a fuel to basically power this like army of repair enzymes and processes that we already have in our bodies.
Wow. So it can make us feel more energized, but also look quite different as well, I guess, when you're taking this over time.
Exactly. It's something that is protecting your all-around cellular health. And that almost, that almost makes some of the benefits seem too good to be true.
Yeah,
You're like, yes,
exactly.
it can make you feel better.
Yeah.
Yes, it can make you look better. But really, if you think about it, it's something that's found in every single cell in our body. It's fundamental for cellular health, for repair, for energy production. So unfortunately, as we get older and it declines, it impacts our cells, which impacts every bit of our bodies. But when you can boost NAD, it actually improves cellular health, and it can improve many different aspects of our health.
So I guess we're talking immunity and things like that as well, not just aging like we're speaking on the outside.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow, amazing. And so can we speak a little bit more about the supplement and how it works? So how much of this should we be taking per day in order to see or feel the difference?
So I think the first thing to mention is this does not have NAD in it.
Okay.
And that's really important, because sometimes people will pick it up and they'll look at the back and they'll go, where's the NAD? Like, how does this boost NAD?
Yeah.
But what our product does is it actually contains a formulation which is designed specifically to switch back on your body's natural NAD production.
And what is it within the product that's doing that?
So there's multiple different ingredients. So we have ingredients in there, for example, alpha lipoic acid is one, and also Sophora japonica. Both of those ingredients are known to switch back on the enzyme in your cells that naturally makes and produces and recycles all of your NAD. Wow. And the important thing is that that is the enzyme that declines with age, which causes the decline in NAD. So it effectively fixes the root cause of the problem. We've also got some other ingredients in there that are actually dealing with some other things that waste NAD in our bodies as we get older. Okay. Because a lot of research has come out recently showing that if you have any inflammation in your body, it actually drains your NAD supplies.
Wow.
So we have some ingredients in there that are actually acting to reduce inflammation, to try and save the NAD. So not only are we switching back on natural production, but we are actually reducing the amount that is being wasted.
And I love what you say there about it not just being like a plaster and placing over the problem. We're addressing the root cause here, which is sometimes not the case when it comes to supplements, is it? We can be taking all of these things and thinking that we're doing our body so much more good, but actually we're not addressing the root cause.
Yeah, this is a real problem. And, for many years, people thought, okay, if NAD's gone down, let's just give the body some NAD. But it was realized that you can't do that. For a number of reasons, not just because it's not addressing the root cause of the problem, but because NAD itself is a very unstable molecule. And that means that you can't just put some pure NAD in a capsule and swallow it because it's degraded by the gut. And also, it's quite an unstable molecule. So you actually need to fix the root cause of the problem and switch back on your body's own natural production, because your body makes lots of NAD very well when it was young. It just gets turned down
with age. And you've intentionally placed this in an ingestible product, haven't you? Because there is several NAD, like you say, supplements on the market, some of which can be placed through IV or injection. Why did you choose to make it ingestible?
Well, the first reason is we didn't choose IV or injectable because although there's a lot of emphasis on these methods of restoring NAD, in fact, the science behind them and the evidence is actually quite lacking. So the idea of giving it via an IV or an injection is if you can't take it orally because it degrades, because it's unstable, then if you inject it or IV it, then it bypasses the gut and it gets it straight into the body. The problem there is that, yes, it will get it into the blood, but it doesn't actually get it into the cells,
which need it.
Which is exactly where NAD has its function. So if you're looking at what NAD does, it interacts with our mitochondria. They're in the cells. It interacts with our DNA. They are in the that is in the cells. All of the pathways that it's involved with are inside our cells, but IVs will only put NAD part of the way, which is into the blood. And NAD is actually a very large, and it's a charged molecule. You'll see it with a plus next to it.
Exactly.
And cells do not like large charged molecules just passing in and out. They've got to have special channels to get them in.
And is that why some people feel quite unwell after they've done those IVs, for example? They can feel a certain way in the body.
Yeah, because you've put a huge amount of a molecule into the blood that's not naturally found in the blood. So the body's like, oh my goodness, I've got to try and get rid of it. I've got to remove it. It thinks that it's a threat. It thinks maybe there's been some trauma, because why is that all of this NAD that should be inside the cells suddenly outside the cells? Has there been an injury? So there's a recent study just come out that shows that when people are having these NAD IVs, it's actually triggering an inflammatory reaction.
Which is the complete opposite of what we're trying to do.
Exact opposite.
Wow.
So despite the popularity, I as a scientist,
yeah, exactly.
you know, looking at all the evidence, wouldn't recommend that method. The reason that we, you know, put ours in an oral capsule is because all of the ingredients that we use, which are not pure NAD, they're active ingredients that switch on your natural production, are all bioavailable when you take them orally.
Okay.
And more importantly, we've proven in a human clinical trial that they actually get to where they need to go and boost NAD levels. And I'm not sure about you, but I would much rather take that as an oral capsule rather than an injection every day, if I knew it worked.
if you knew it worked. And I love that you've done the clinical trials as well. I think that's so important, especially in an industry that isn't regulated when it comes to things like supplements. All of this data and all of this knowledge is so important when we're testing these things.
Absolutely. And when I left my job in drug development to start a supplement company, everyone like really frowned upon it because they were like, supplements don't work, you know, they're a load of rubbish, they're like snake oil. But I was like, no, this is where like we are really going to be different, because I know, I've seen with my own eyes that these molecules are powerful.
Yeah, exactly.
But so we're going to do the research to show that what we're actually saying it does, it actually does. So the standard of clinical trial that we did is equivalent of what would usually get done in a drugs trial. It's very unusual to have that type of trial, and it's also published in a top journal, which again is really unusual for a consumer supplement.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm very proud of it, because that's what I set out to do.
Go read all about it. No, that's how it should be. We should
Yeah.
be informed about what we're putting into our bodies.
Yeah.
When you speak of the effect that this can have, what do people notice differently? Like, you're explaining everything obviously that it does within the body, but sometimes we can't see those things and we can't quantify them. How can this make us feel?
Yeah, I mean, I, as a scientist, love talking about an enzyme or boosting something, but you're completely right. And the good news is lots of people do feel a benefit. So some people it's very subtle, but other people will really notice a difference in their energy levels. That is the number one customer feedback that we've got. We've actually then gone on to measure this in the clinical trial and show that we do see a significant increase in energy levels. Now, this can be two ways. This can be like physical energy, like people just feeling like they've got more get up and go, you know, they want to get on with things, they're not getting tired as easily, but also it's also in terms of cognitive energy. So anyone that was suffering from anything like brain fog, they are the people that are like, wow, like I just feel much sharper, my cognitive function's really improved. So those are two things which I think typically as we get older, people notice and suffer from. So when you see an improvement, it's quite notable.
Yeah.
The other thing that I always get asked is, will this make me look different?
Will I look 10 years younger?
Yes, will it help my skin? Now, for this, again, we were getting a lot of customer feedback saying how it was improving the skin quality, the skin texture. So rather than rely on the anecdotal data, we also did another clinical trial.
That's really interesting.
So we had 30 people, 3 months supplementation, no aesthetic procedures, no changes to skincare, diet, everything else controlled for as far as possible. Only took the supplement, and we actually did the facial scan with the Visia.
Oh, the Visias.
Yeah.
They can be very happy making or make you feel very sad.
They can, yeah. So especially when you measure things like redness and pigmentation, which is exactly what we were looking at.
Wow, that's really
So what we saw was a significant reduction in redness and rosacea. Now, if you speak to any aesthetic practitioners, they'll tell you how hard it is to make a difference, even with topical products, to redness and rosacea. But our images were so striking that even just by taking something orally, you can have a significant impact on the visible quality of the skin. And I think this goes back to the fact that if you're improving cellular health, that's the root cause of everything. So it's not masking it, it's actually fixing the inflammation, fixing the root cause of the problem, that you then actually see the visible results
on the outside.
And
how many of these should we be taking, and how long can it take to see those effects when you're doing those trials, for example? Is it 3 months like they suggest that it should be for a skin cycle?
Yeah, so it's 3 capsules per day. We recommend taking it with food, with the first meal of the day, whatever that is, whether it's breakfast or lunch. And some people, in terms of how they feel, will notice something quite quickly. Like sometimes within the first week. We certainly know from the clinical trial, NAD rises within the first week. So we can see this. Other people, it takes a little bit longer. It kind of depends on how the person is to begin with, how depleted they are. You know, NAD declines in everyone with age, but also it's very lifestyle dependent. So generally what we'll see is people who have a worse lifestyle, normally feel better because their NAD is more depleted.
Yeah, it lives quicker.
With things that are visible, so things like the skin, also hair, I haven't mentioned, we see a huge improvement in hair growth, thickness, even reversal of grey hair in some people.
The grey hair?
Yeah, that's still
really interesting when it comes to this ageing process, and
exactly.
not just what we're seeing on the outside, but what's happening on the inside too.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Those things take a little bit longer, so usually they're after around 3 months that we start to see those effects. Okay. But again, it makes complete sense, because if you are improving health across the entire body, usually things like the hair, skin, the nails are another thing that start to grow really fast. If those things, you know, if your inside and at the cellular level is struggling, your body literally goes, okay, do you know what, hair, skin and nails, that's the last thing. Yeah. So those start to suffer. But then when you have improved cellular health, then your body starts investing a little bit more energy into the things that are less important. Yeah. So for some people, they're just like, if it's making my nails grow like this, it must be doing something.
It's so interesting. It's like you say, the things that aren't so important biologically, then start to see the differences to show you actually how the body is working differently after taking this. Yeah. Can it make you feel a certain way? I know that we've spoken here about the way that the IV drips can make you feel. I know a few people are a little bit anxious from hearing or trying those. Yeah. Is that the same when we take it orally like this?
Not at all. The only thing we do recommend is just making sure you take it with food, because for some people taking a couple of capsules on an empty stomach can make them feel nauseous, and that's not about the NAD or anything like that. That's just taking a lot of active ingredients on an empty stomach, and it can happen with most supplements. But this is completely different to an IV. An IV is like completely ignoring all of the root causes of the problem, and also putting, as we've mentioned, putting the NAD into a part of the body that it's never naturally found. This is really switching back on your NAD production like your cells did when they were younger. They were very good at producing it. It just got turned down. This switches it back on again.
It's so exciting. I love how you speak about this reversal of aging. I feel like it's something we always thought, I wish we could. And actually, we're looking now at science that actually is reversing aging, and not just the science of aging, but actually aging within the body.
It is actually doing it, and actually that's a really nice point to bring up, because one of the things we measured in our clinical trial was the biological age of participants. Now, your biological age is looking at how old you are on the inside, at the cellular level.
Very scary.
It can be very scary. Some people's are higher, some people's come back lower, showing they're either aging faster or they're aging slower than they should be. And in our trial, we found that after a month supplementation, on average, the participants had a reversal of 1.26 years in biological age. In just a month. Wow. So this shows that if you are improving cellular health by boosting NAD, that you are actually leading to a reduction of biological age.
That is fascinating, and that is just one of many reasons to be taking this supplement. Thank you so much, Nichola. That was fascinating. I think we're going to take a deep dive now into a few more questions about the supplement. But thank you so much for that absolutely amazing overhaul of everything that Nuchido stands for.
Thank you, Victoria.
Thanks, everyone.